Hey everyone, so today we're going to be talking about the Twitch stream that developers of Conan Exiles released the other week, and it goes through a whole bunch of stuff including combat, base building, crafting, and gathering, as well as the character customization. So during the beginning of the Conan Exiles stream, we saw the character customization. Now going a little bit in depth about the character customization, in my recent AMA video, I mentioned that the character customization will include a whole bunch of sliders, similar to how Age of Conan allowed you to customize your character. And this is the same direction that they've gone with in Conan Exiles, although to a less detailed extent. So you can customize most aspects of your character, including race, religion, body feature types, and sizes, as well as your gender. And each race has a different background, but there doesn't seem to be any indication as to whether or not the races that you choose will actually affect the kind of gameplay that you'll get. So there doesn't seem to be any racial buffs or racial abilities in this game. You can also reassign your religion. So they mentioned throughout the game there'll be NPC followers for each religion that will allow you to follow the religion that they preach. In the character customization itself, you can choose your religion to begin with, so you don't have to find these followers. There's also a whole bunch of options, from customizing the head options of your character to the face options and details. You're given a whole selection of sliders and preset colors to customize your character. There's less flexibility with this system as opposed to games such as Black Desert. One of the initial things we see in the stream is the look of the user interface. At the moment, it looks not as refined compared to other survival games. However, this is an early build of the game, so we can expect when the early access is released, this is exactly how it will look. No doubt as the development progresses, the user interface will be redone. So from the stream, we can also see that there's going to be a hotbar in the game. This is pretty much common throughout every survival game, and it seems like the hotbar will be used mostly for items, weapons, and building materials. It will also enable you to swap out items interchangeably. So for me personally, I prefer the concept that Daisy incorporate because I think it's a bit more in depth. However, for Conan Exiles, I think that a hotbar is too generic. It would have been better if they incorporated a mixed system where you need to equip weapons or items for your character in the character panel, and then the hotbar is primarily used for items that are not assigned to combat, so torches, food, water, and maybe materials for building or crafting. You can also see a series of icons along the top left-hand side of the UI. Now, these include health, energy, or thirst, hunger, experience, and the last icon is still a bit unknown. We can also see that in some instances they've opened up the inventory system. Now, the inventory system in Conan Exiles is very similar to that of Rust or 7 Days to Die. However, what we can notice is that there is a section to allocate character levels in various stats such as health, stamina, encumbrance, etc. There's also a vitals section within the same panel which shows you what equipment your character is currently wearing, as well as general statistics regarding the player's health, energy, thirst, and hunger levels, as well as their armor level and poise. Now, armor level and poise statistics might indicate there may be some instances where you can build a character that have more defense, therefore making them a tank for PvP or PvE encounters. We're not necessarily sure. They haven't provided much information as to what these statistics are, so they've mentioned there's going to be light RPG elements in the game, so it would not be a surprise if items have statistics on them themselves which actually increase your character stat, but we have to wait and see. Now, you're also able to learn different crafting recipes. So in the UI, we actually see there's a crafting section, and these crafting recipes can be learned as you gain levels or by finding them from monsters or just throughout the world. Now, they've mentioned that in the areas where you can go underground or that you can't build, these are where you're going to be able to find really rare crafting recipes. So they've sort of taken some inspiration from games such as Rust. You had to find blueprints. There's also screen effects, which will activate when the character is experiencing a loss of health, thirst, or hunger. There's also blood effects which appear on the screen during combat, and these might be assigned to fatalities similar to what they did with Age of Conan. And from just looking at it in this video, the detail of these screen effects is really basic, but no doubt as development progresses these will be upgraded. At the moment they seem very much just a placeholder. So moving on to the gameplay, this is mostly what the stream was all about. It was about the gameplay, the feel of the game, and what we can see is that the gameplay itself looks and feels very similar to most other survival games on the market. We also saw some elements of combat. Now, the combat appears to be somewhat fast-paced. However, one thing to notice is that the field of view is quite narrow in this video. It looks like it's probably 75 degrees of view. Personally, I prefer if it was a bit wider, so like looking at 90-degree field of view. They did not show off the fatality system, however. There was the blood effects, which make me think it was the fatality system, because the blood effects in Age of Conan only appeared when you did a fatality, and it makes sense if they took that same concept and they put it in Conan Exiles. However, we didn't really see anything that looked like a general fatality. We didn't see heads go flying or arms or limbs or whatever go flying, but we saw the combat from both first and third person perspective. Now, in both perspectives, the game looks more than playable, so you can play it either third or first. However, the developers have stated that the game is going to be primarily played in first person view, and this makes sense. However, with the combat, I feel as if there's going to be an issue with depth, mainly because all the combat is melee. It could feel flowy. It doesn't really feel like you're connecting much with your hits. They also showed off some of the base building in the gameplay as well. Now, the base building is very similar to games such as Rust. It uses the same grid-like method where you have to put down a foundation and then the walls will be placed on the edges of this foundation. What they've showed off is that you can actually rotate object you wish to place down for your building without having to move around. So another thing they showed off was the craft. As I mentioned in the AMA video, you're able to craft basic recipes without the need of a crafting station. The crafting system is primarily built upon the leveling system implemented into the game. As you level up, you'll be able to spend points to unlock different recipes, and as you progress in those recipes, you can get more complicated recipes. So it's very much a linear system where you start off with really basic recipes to begin with, and then as you level up your crafting, you will actually be able to unlock more complicated recipes. Now, as you unlock more complicated recipes, the requirements to build whatever it is you're wanting to craft will increase. Throughout this video, they didn't mention whether or not if you die, you lose all your stats and you have to start again. I'm assuming that's not the case, or it might even be in the server option, but I think how they're building the game is very much, you don't necessarily lose your levels, you just die and lose all your belongings and you have to start again. They also showed off some of the gathering in Conan Exiles as well. So throughout the stream, we saw the player gathering wood and stone to build a building. Now, this was the primary focus of the entire stream. They tried to show off the raw gameplay as to what the game will actually be like. And what we saw is that the materials actually degrade the more they are harvested. So trees or stone, for example, if you're mining that or cutting down a tree, it will generally degenerate. So trees look like they explode at this point in time, and stone sort of chips away. There wasn't any indication in the stream that there are environmental effects such as the sandstorm we've seen in the trailer. I'm assuming as the game comes closer to early access, they will show you what that looks like, and we will see how the game is progressing. There was one segment in the stream that was only shown very briefly, and it was where the character finds body as well as finding a note. Now, the character was able to not necessarily loot the body, but loot items around the body. They didn't loot. What we did see was a character pick up a note, and upon picking up the note, the UI indicated that the note was being read. Now, I'm assuming this is how most of the lore will be told throughout the game, which will be done primarily through exploration and finding notes or triggering a random event they mentioned in the AMA. So these are all really cool aspects of the game that we're sort of seeing here. They touched on a lot of different aspects in this stream, and I didn't cover the entire stream while they were playing, but there will be more interesting streams in the future because they're looking at producing a stream every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks we can sort of see different concepts of Conan Exiles being shown off. I'm really keen to see what the religion system and the thrall system look like. I think these are the two systems that are the biggest differentiators when it comes to Conan Exiles. That's going to do it for this video. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought about the Twitch stream, specifically your thoughts on Conan Exiles now that we've seen a little bit of the game, as well as just your thoughts and opinions on what you think the art style was like, or where do you think the direction of the game is heading. Are you happy with it? Are you not happy with it? What are your concerns? Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.